very last thing here is dealing with cave paintings, and we saw the art video on that. I think you guys are in pretty good shape for this. Explain the meaning and significance of cave paintings. The two most famous locations in Europe are Altamira in Spain and Lascaux in France. Remember, Altamira is the one that was discovered in 1879. Everybody thought it was fake because the paintings were too good. Those were the paintings of the extinct breed of oxen that were found by the 9-year-old daughter Maria of de Sotola. He was the amateur archaeologist who was, digging around in the cave for artifacts. It wasn't until the discoveries at Lascaux in France that scholars decided that this was not a hoax, and a lot of other cave paintings started to turn up, not just in Europe, but in different parts of the world. How and why were these discoveries interpreted differently? Altamira, because it was the first one ever found, was really a shock, and it did not fit into what people thought at the time of prehistoric man. Prehistoric man didn't have culture. Prehistoric man was not artistic. Prehistoric man could not do something that was beautiful. They were too savage. They were too simple-minded. And it really changed the way a lot of people thought about this once a lot more discoveries came to light. So Lascaux helped to vindicate Altamira in a way, because Lascaux helped to prove that they were older than other people generally thought. And of course today, with the technology that we have to actually date objects, we can go a lot further into proving that something is as old as we think it is, whereas in 1879, when Altamira was first discovered, we really couldn't do that. What do the images represent? The traditional interpretations are that they were just kind of painting animals that they saw every day, that they were supposed to bring luck in a hunt, that they were recording successful hunting experiences and things like that. But if you really look at some of the details in the painting, that doesn't play out, because we see people with, animal heads or hooves, and we see very abstract lines and dots and shapes all over the place that do not look like stuff they saw every day. So it doesn't really seem to jive with, gee, it's about hunting. The other thing about that doesn't work is that the animals they're painting were not the animals that we have evidence they were eating. Because bones that show marks of, the animals having been eaten that were found in these caves are not what they're showing on the walls. It's not the same thing. So how is that what they're hunting? It just doesn't play out with the evidence. Modern interpretation has changed a lot. We look at this as related to their spirituality. If they're not painting animals that they're eating, then are they painting animals that they have a particular reverence for? Animals that are very majestic, that are very powerful, animals that mean something to them. And the other thing that we saw in the video was that for the patterns of lines and dots, this is the image, or the kind of image, produced by the mind when someone is in a trance-like state, or if they are, say, shut in the back of the cave and they are sensory deprived. It's kind of like if you go out in the sun with your eyes closed and you see spots. It's that kind of an idea, and the spots and line patterns have been recreated in lab settings using, LED emitting like glasses like we saw in the video. So if the human brain is hardwired to produce certain patterns, that explains why we see them all over the world. Because we see them in Africa, we see them in Europe, we see them in Australia. It's all over the place, in caves and on rocks. So there has to be some common thread there between all these different groups that did not have contact with one another. Why have these views changed over time? As we have more evidence available, just like, we changed our minds about Altamira, it took a while. As we have more evidence available, we have to modify our thinking about prehistoric man. And, who knows where we're going to be in 50 years with this? We did not have the technology to perform some of these experiments, say 30 years ago. And the textbook answer, gee, it's related to hunting, still persists. And our stereotypical notions of prehistoric man still exist. But we have to think about it in other terms, or else it doesn't explain how we get from prehistoric man into the agricultural revolution to civilization and onto the river valleys, which is what we're going to do next. next.